Peace, everyone. This is Karriem with the Mailman Muscle Channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I typically don't bring issues of social commentary, politics, or religion onto my channel, but this one is actually quite relevant to the main topics that I do cover on my channel. The month of Ramadan is a month in which Muslims spend each day in the month fasting from sunrise to sunset, just in general. There are other components to it, but as far as what part of it is relevant to muscle building, fat loss, bodybuilding, powerlifting, exercise in general, that's the main aspect of this practice, that 1 month out of every year, any Muslim that is involved with training of any kind of sports is going to have to deal with. If you're not a Muslim yourself, you may have Muslim clients that you're training. And so hopefully this would be useful to you as well if you happen to come across this video. Now, my experience with this comes from being a Muslim longer than I have been involved in strength sports. I started training about 20 years ago. I've been competing in powerlifting since 2008. And as of right now, which we're in March of 2024, as I'm recording this, I'm preparing for my first bodybuilding competition. It'll be a drug-tested competition with the OCB 2 days after my 48th birthday, actually, in May of this year. So I'm 9 weeks away from that. So I've been doing this for quite a while. And as I see it, there are 5 components that you have to look at when deciding how it is you're going to handle your training or fitness regimen or whatever during the month of Ramadan, or how you should advise your clients, again, if you're coaching someone. I guess Islam has 5 pillars, so might as well have 5 things here. Number 1 is, when does Ramadan occur during the year? Because it's not the same every year, and that makes a difference. Second would be, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish during this month? Third would be, when do you eat? When do you train? When do you sleep? Those 5 things are the questions that need to be considered and answered for anybody who's going to try to observe this fast, and also be engaged in regular, vigorous, sports-related exercise or strength training. So, first one, when does Ramadan occur during the year? Right now, Ramadan is beginning on March 11th or 12th, depending on who you ask. Ramadan is the 9th month of the Muslim or Islamic calendar. And it's that month because that's the month in which the first revelation of the Holy Quran was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And so every year, that month is observed and celebrated with this fast. As I said, it's the 9th month on the Islamic calendar, which is different from the Gregorian calendar that we typically use that runs January through December. The Islamic calendar is a lunar calendar, and it's only about 354 days or so. It's about 11 days typically shorter every year than the Gregorian calendar. So what that means is that Ramadan actually moves like from one year to the next by about 11 days. So last year, Ramadan began near the end of March. This year, it's starting right now, mid-March. Next year, 2025, Ramadan will start around the 1st of March. And in 2026, it'll go to somewhere in mid to late February, and so on. So the reason that matters is because obviously the season that you're in determines how long that fasting window is going to be. As Ramadan moves into the winter months, the days get shorter, which means the fasting window every day gets shorter. Like right now, the fasting window is going to be about 12 hours per day. As the month goes on, this will end like in early April, the fasting window will have increased to a little under 13 hours by the end of the month. But again, as the years go and Ramadan moves forward, the days get shorter for that month. But the days get shorter up to a certain point because, of course, as you get into, say, January and then December, going towards the winter solstice, then that's the shortest day of the year in terms of daylight hours. But then once you start going beyond that and then backwards again into November, October, and so forth, now the days are starting to get longer and longer again. Eventually, Ramadan will hit with like August, July, and then it's on. Those days are long. So everybody gets to, well, hopefully, God willing, you live through long enough to get Ramadans in all of the seasons. And also because of, how the earth rotates and whatnot, people in the Southern Hemisphere, when they're having shorter days, we may be having longer days and vice versa. So everybody on the globe gets it equally at some point. Individuals may not because of, unfortunately, some people just don't live that long, but the global community, it evens out for everybody. So that's important, again, to know, where Ramadan is going to fall in your year. Is it during your season? Is it during your off season? Do you have competitions coming up soon after or during that month? These are things that you're going to have to look at and map out from year to year. So that's point number one. Now, point number two, what is your goal during the month? Again, is it competition? Or is it during your sports season if you play a seasonal sport? Like in my case, I have this bodybuilding show coming up that in an ideal situation, I would not stack this fast on top of a pre-contest bodybuilding diet. But the date and location of the show that I want to do are in May, and there's no way I could have waited until after Ramadan was over in order to start the contest prep because I just wouldn't have had enough time. So here I am, 11 weeks into a contest prep and starting this fast on top of it. But you gotta know what it is you want to accomplish during this month. My personal advice to the general population, you don't have anything in particular that you're training for in terms of a competitive standpoint, I would use this as a maintenance month. If you're practicing the fast, or if you have a client who's practicing this fast and they don't have anything imminently approaching that they have to be ready for from a competitive standpoint, I would just try to maintain. I wouldn't necessarily try to hit PRs, even though you can, and I have before also. I wouldn't diet or be in a surplus. I would just try to maintain. And if someone is observing the fast, yes, everything else that they're doing for training, I'm sure is important. But if the fast is important enough for that person to observe or for you to observe, then chances are you don't mind, if possible, putting something on hold until afterwards and just do enough during this month to maintain where you are, and then you can come out and hit the gas in whatever direction you want to go. Next, we're talking about when, this is third, when do you eat during a day in the fast? Now, you can eat obviously before sunrise. Again, I'm using general terms. I know it's supposed to be before Fajr and after Maghrib in the evening, but I don't want to get too technical for those who may be watching this and have no idea of what I'm talking about. So again, before sunrise, you're eating something. After sunset, you're eating something. And you still got to get your training in. So when to eat and when to train, and that last consideration, when to sleep, Those are the three things that you have to kind of marry together and make sure they're working. You have to do that anyway, during when it's not Ramadan, the other 11 months out of the year, but you have to be more strategic during this month because a lot of the window that you have to consume food and beverages is a lot more narrow. So before sunrise, definitely don't want to skip that, in my humble opinion. You don't want to skip that morning meal. Make sure you get up and get your first meal of the day in. And what I suggest is during Ramadan, you want to try to have either 2 or 3 meals in a day. The one before sunrise, and then either one more after sunset or 2. And that can depend on whether you're training and just personal preference. Before sunrise, you want to get as much protein and complex carbs as you can. Chances are you're still going to end up hungry at some point during the day, even with a satiating meal that consists of protein and complex carbs. Talking about oatmeal or brown rice or whatever, or something like that for the carbs. Oh, and let me add this caveat now before I forget. Try to take breakfast and whatever, dinner or whatever. If that's how you normally eat, like you have foods that are breakfast foods, like eggs are for breakfast, oatmeal's for breakfast, whatever, I would honestly just get rid of that altogether. I'd get rid of that altogether even out for the rest of the year. But I think for this month in particular, I wouldn't worry about it so much. You may find that there's a food you would typically eat for dinner that fills you up more than something than you would typically eat for breakfast. And if there's something that fills you more and keeps you from being hungry longer that you eat at night, my suggestion would be to eat that in the morning, because you're going to have to deal with being hungry at some point during the day. That's my take. But you want to get some complex carbs and you want to get some protein in the morning. I would aim to get anywhere from 1/4 to 1/3 of whatever you normally consume in a day. Get that down before sunrise, and also get as much water in as you can. Or if you want to drink some sports drink that has electrolytes in it, something like that, that's fine too. But you want to hydrate yourself as well before the fasting period begins. Then in the evening, after sunset, and you're breaking your fast now, what you do again depends on personal preference and if you're hitting the gym that day. If you are training that day, then what I suggest would be you break your fast with some simple carbohydrates and easy to digest proteins. The fats are pretty much going to take care of themselves in all of these meals. I'm just giving you the benefit of the doubt that whatever your nutrition goals or needs are, you're either cooking with fat or you are getting fat from your protein source, something like that. But try to get some simple, easy to digest carbs and protein in before you train, because one, you don't want that on your stomach while you're training in terms of like weighing you down. And 2, you want the nutrients from that as available as possible to get you through the training that you're about to do. Then second, after you have finished at the gym, then I would get another meal in, and that would have then more complex carbs, slow digesting protein, something that will help keep you satiated through the night. You don't want to wake up, in the middle of the night hungry. But if you do, you can go ahead and get something to eat because the sun hasn't come up yet. So it's all good. But that's how I typically do it. After breaking the fast, I will typically have something, if I'm going to train, like cream of wheat, cream of rice, cereal, something along those lines. And that will, and I'll make it with milk also. So that'll get some protein in. I might add some protein powder to it, some whey powder, either concentrate or isolate, whatever I happen to have on hand, and put some fruit in there, and that'll be it. That meal after breaking the fast, or I should say the meal that you break the fast with, that's going to be another quarter to a third of your daily nutrition requirements. And then when you get back from the gym, then you're going to do the rest. So if you've had a quarter in the morning, a quarter breaking the fast, you're going to have the other half of your macros after you finish training. If you did a third in the morning, a third breaking the fast, then you do a third, the final third of your macros after you've hit the gym. If you just don't want to eat that often, then just eat 2 meals that day. You're not going to hurt anything. Break your fast maybe with something small so that you break it. You know, you've drank something, maybe you eat a piece of fruit, and then a couple of hours later, if you really want to have dinner then go ahead and do it. And in that case, I would say in the morning, you want to consume anywhere from a third to a half of your daily calories in that morning meal, and then the other 2/3 or half in the evening meal. Either one of those will work just fine. It's again, a lot of that has to do with personal preference. If you want to eat 3 meals and you're not going to the gym, go ahead and do that. If you think you got time for 4 meals, more power to you. Go ahead and do that. But personally, I found the most success with either 2 on days that I don't train and 3 on days that I do train. That has worked well for me over the years. Now, the final part of this is, when do you sleep during all of this? Here's the reality that I've just come to accept. And that is, something's going to have to take a hit during this month. And it might be sleep, but it doesn't have to go away entirely. When I'm talking about take a hit, I mean, it may get cut to something like 6 or 6.5 hours if you're someone who's used to sleeping 7, 8, or 9 hours. Now, keep in mind, I wish I could. I don't usually sleep that long, but I know a lot of you out there do or try to. If you've got that in your schedule where you're sleeping 7, 8, 9 hours, then that's wonderful. But I don't know that I would then shrink my eating window to, if you have, say, a 12-hour, if you have a 12-hour fasting window, I wouldn't shrink my eating window to, say, 1 hour in the morning, and then you may have 3 hours at night. But then if you're going to go to the gym, especially if you don't train at home, then you've got the workout time plus travel time to and from the gym, and that's cutting into your eating window also. I'm saying eating, but it's an eating and drinking window. To me, I would just sleep a little less, like maybe an hour or so on training days in particular. You probably don't have to do this on days that you're not training, but on a training day. And I know it's like, well, why would I sleep less after training? I've been a mailman for like 18 years, man. I've been sleep deprived for longer than I should have been. You'll be fine with 1 day. Just sleep in, or just tack it on, that missed hour of sleep, tack it on to the next night when you don't train, and you'll find you'll be fine. So again, my suggestion would be, if possible, to maintain during the month. If you're in a muscle building phase when this month begins, then you can continue that if you want, but here's what I would do, or what you have to be ready to do, I should say. If you've been eating a lot of meals throughout the day, if you're one of those folks who eats 4 or more meals during the day, then in my opinion, you're going to have to consolidate some of those and eat like 2 or 3. And they're going to have to then be much larger meals than you're used to consuming. If you're going to have trouble getting that much food down, like actually chewing that much food, then I would suggest, just for this month, drinking more calories than you normally do, if you're not drinking a lot of your calories now through shakes. You can use a commercial weight gainer if you want, but I would just as soon make my own. You could, between milk, or even put some half and half in there. Don't make it out of half and half, but like add a little bit of that, protein powder, peanut butter, a little ice cream, whatever. Something to keep those calories up, but you can get it down easy. If you're on a mass gaining phase and want to continue it during Ramadan, that's what I would do. I would drink more of my calories and consolidate all of my calories into 2 or 3 meals or feedings in those in the window that you have between the morning when you wake up and at night. If you're in a fat loss phase like I am, then you may not have to do anything. There's a chance that the fast will actually help you in that. Just keep in mind that if you make a little bit more rapid progress during this month, and you get all excited, like, yeah, I lost all this weight. By all this, I don't mean like 20 or 30 pounds. I just mean more than you've been losing in a given month. Don't expect that rate to continue when you go back to your normal eating and drinking habits once the month is concluded. So again, maintain if you can, but if you want to keep putting on mass, consolidate those meals and drink more of your calories. And if you're going to continue in a fat loss phase, then just temper your expectations coming out of this this month. As I put up on screen at the beginning, this video is not monetized. I guess hopefully this can be part of my charity for the month to the global ummah of Muslims in the gym. So, but I would ask that you still help the channel out by doing all the normal YouTube things. If you got something out of this video, please click the like button. Please subscribe to my channel. Please click the notification bell so you can find out when more uploads happen. Also, please share this video with someone who you think can benefit from it, and leave a comment. Help the YouTube algorithm see that people have watched the video and want to engage and talk about what's in it. Please leave any questions there. I'll answer anything that I can. If I can't, I'll tell you I don't know, but where you might be able to find the answer. But again, I just thank you for watching, and I hope that you've gotten something out of this. If you are practicing the month of Ramadan and observing the fast, then all the best to you. Ramadan Karriem. I wish you a blessed and successful Ramadan. And for all of you who are watching, again, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.